Hello, Steeler Nation. I'm your host, Stryker, and welcome to your Steeler Nation podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. This is now our first show on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Network. And not only is it our first show on DK, but I'm joined by a very special Steeler fan right here. You've heard him on country music stations. You've seen him on CMT. And if you're real lucky, you'll see him in Pittsburgh cheering on his Steelers to victory. Ladies and gentlemen, country music star Justin Fabus. Justin, good to have you on the show, man.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, I feel like I know you on already because we've been texting back and forth so much. We've been
we're best friends. Yeah,
right. And I was like, oh, I gotta let Justin know what's going on. And the biggest news of the day, we just have to get to this, and
Absolutely.
that is TJ Watt signing that new huge contract extension, an additional 4 years, $112 million, $80 million guaranteed. Obviously, a benchmark contract, not only for the Steelers, but for defensive players in general. How do you feel about that, Justin?
I mean, relieved. I think everybody is. I think the Steeler gods kind of got in a line and got things moving. I mean, who wasn't a little bit nervous that it was, approaching, opening day, and nobody wants that hanging over, the season, and it's more importantly, it's well deserved. I mean, everybody else was kind of screaming it from the rooftops. I mean, you saw the interviews with Roethlisberger and Cam, just saying,
back to back.
You know what I mean? And it's like a load off, I know, every Steeler fan's shoulders, because we just want to go, no distractions. Let's kick Buffalo's ass and, move forward,
And you had that right on the head, man. Offensive captain yesterday, Ben Roethlisberger, going on the offensive, saying, hey, this is why I took a pay cut. You got defensive captain Cam Hayward today in the next morning saying, hey, pay the man. You need to pay the man, please, at the end of his thing. I talked about him like 3 or 4 times. I assume it's going to be unanimous across all the captains, and that Derek Watt wanted him to sign too. But it's a done deal. I wrote an article over at SteelerNation.com. You guys can go over, read all the fun stuff over there at SteelerNation.com as well. But I love to throw some commentary in with my stuff, but super happy about that. Now, I personally too, we know you're usually on the road for playing shows and doing all sorts of different recording sessions and all these types of things. So when you're usually not traveling, where do you normally call home?
Pittsburgh. So
it is right here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So I kind of do the dual residency. I live in Pittsburgh and then also live in Atlanta. And then obviously spend a lot of time in Nashville, but I have a home in Pittsburgh. I think I'll always have a home in Pittsburgh. How can't you? But I kind of bounce back and forth. So I've been in Pittsburgh the last couple of days now, getting ready for my show on Saturday. So I'm able to kind of see how the town's buzzing for first week of football, and it's exciting stuff.
And Steeler Nation, you've got to get ready, because tomorrow night, Rivers Casino, 9 p.m. My boy Justin's going to be right here playing a show at the Rivers Casino for free. FREE over at the Drum Bar at the Rivers Casino. So no excuse. You got to check him out. You got to listen to his great tunes and just hang out and say hi to the man, at least. And if nothing else, go talk some Steelers with him. He loves that.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. By the way, the check's in the mail for all those kind words right there. So, very kind. I appreciate that.
You don't need to pay me, Justin. I just want to see you do well, man. You're a Pittsburgh brother, a Steeler brother. I'm just happy to be cheering alongside with you on game days, and nice to have you on the show too. And that's what makes it fun, because you're in the industry as well. I'm sure you come across a lot of people in the music industry in general and in the entertainment industry that you find that happen to be Steeler fans, because you're usually wearing a black and gold shirt or something like that. How crazy is that?
I mean, it's not as crazy being from Pittsburgh. I think people that are out, not from Pittsburgh, find it crazy. But it's not. You'd be surprised how many country artists are huge Steeler fans, especially in the country scene. Obviously Hank Williams Jr. Huge Steeler guy. Justin Moore, huge Steeler guy. So there's a lot of Steeler fans. Just like you can find a Steeler bar anywhere.
Right.
My brother was in Italy 2 years ago, and he found a Steeler bar.
Wow. In Italy.
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it's one big family, and clearly we're the best organization around. So
nice. And I'm planning on being at a Steeler bar out in Ocean City, Maryland this week. I'm going to be at Buxy's Salty Dog. So any Steeler fans, you want to come over and check it out over there, kind of maybe run some pregame and postgame Q&As there as well, and just have some fun with it. One cool thing too, like, I don't know who won the bet between you and me when we were talking and chatting back and forth on the phone, because we both ended up being right about who was going to make the roster when it came to the last quarterback, because Dwayne Haskins, I had Dwayne Haskins, you had Josh Dobbs, and they both make the team. So how do you feel about that?
I feel good about it. Right? I mean, I think we have great, solid backups. Whether Ben decides to retire next year, or, hey, I want him to go as long as we can take it. What I mean? So, I mean, he's a legend. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. I think just seeing him play in preseason, I think he's going to, shut up all the, the namesayers that say, like, oh, he's, past his prime, and, they're going to do this and that, worse than last season. Like, us Steeler fans, and, we strive on that stuff. So, like, keep throwing the stones. So,
and you're right about Ben Roethlisberger. The league really doesn't give him the benefit of being able to distribute the ball and move that offense the way that he does. It doesn't matter who's with him. You see all these great receivers that are in Pittsburgh that leave, like Wallace and Sanders, and just, the list goes on. Like, Sanders probably the only one that still had a good career, or is at least on par, but going to play with a Hall of Fame quarterback with Peyton Manning, that does help. Even AB now, I mean, he's still trying to start making some numbers back up here with Tom Brady, maybe this year, but all these receivers have shown they can put up yardage with Ben, but maybe not with anybody else. And same thing too with Bell. Remember when he was like right up there with Jim Brown numbers for yardage per game for his first 5 years within the team? I mean, he was just on a trajectory where it seemed like he was going to be the next great running back. All of a sudden, he's not with Ben anymore. Zero productivity.
Right. It's like that saying, sometimes you're better together than alone. So I think that goes a long way. I mean, I think that kind of speaks to his leadership, but for some reason, he just does not get the credit he deserves, like when it comes to numbers and projections and all that stuff. But I mean, just for being as big as he is, and still moving and being agile like he is, and making plays, and you just never can count him out. So I mean, I wouldn't want anybody else, under center. So
yeah, and I'm glad that he doesn't have to be the Ben from last year anymore, which was the guy that had to get the ball out in under 2 seconds because he knew he was going to get hurt. Now with this Matt Canada offense, we got more play action. We've got the same looks that set up maybe 2, 3, 4 different types of plays out of that same look. So defenses can't just key off on what we're doing anymore, because it's not, you can't see it at the line of scrimmage anymore, because they end up running. I thought this was going to be a pass. So that's the stuff that I'm excited to see with that play action and that strong running game too, with Najee Harris setting up this pass game, because now it's going to give, the defense got to get some respect, especially if Najee starts gashing you early. That's going to freeze the middle linebackers on play action. Now we're going to have those short passes a little bit more wide open because they can't key on them anymore. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I think Harris just, it just widens our offense up so much. It takes a lot of pressure off Ben. I think, a lot of defenses are going to have to be on their toes, because, we have so many different threats, when it comes to now with Harris, obviously with Ben, with all our wideouts, and the new tight end Fairmouth. I mean,
Freiermuth's going to be awesome. I'm so psyched to watch him play.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. He's been reminding me of like a young Heath Miller. It seems like his receiving might be a little bit above what Heath Miller's was coming into the league, but obviously Heath Miller was an incredible blocker when he was drafted in the first round the year he came in. So I'm really excited to see what Freiermuth is going to develop into. Already named a co-starter here with Eric Ebron, because it looks like we're going to start with a 2 tight end set. And now we have 5 starting rookies. 5. On offensive line, you got, Moore has to start at left tackle, just kind of because the tackles are banged up. You got Banner out. Chooks moved from left to right. You got Kendrick Green in the center, who we were drafted to be the next heir apparent. Unfortunately, he surprised everybody and showed he could play, and rightfully took the spot. Then we have Pat Freiermuth, the co-starter, there in the center. And then, of course, running back Najee Davenport. He was the heir apparent. We drafted him in the first round. And then I go without saying, the 7th round pick, getting a new punter, Presley Harvin III, the biggest punter in the league now by size and girth and stature. I used to tell people, hey, I play in the NFL. I'm built like a punter. I'm like 6 foot, bucket 75, soaking wet with a pocket full of nickels. But now I can't even say that because we have a unit at punter now.
And that's got it's got Steelers written all over it.
Right.
Like we would have a big badass punter. You know what I mean? So it's like it just fits the mentality perfectly, I think.
And just wait till the first time where you have a returner trying to come down the field and truck that punter.
Absolutely.
You're going to see him get slammed. And that would bolster the fan base more than worrying about that 40, 50-yard return it took to get back to him.
Right.
Just everybody would always talk about, you see Presley Harvin destroy that guy.
I think it's happened more than once, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to short yardage runs with the guy. I mean, who's gonna stop him on a 4th and 1 when we're lined up to punt? You got like a 3-man ruch,
right? And he has a cannon of an arm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, endless possibilities. I mean, we have just so much talent. Yeah. We've had so much talent, and now we have even more. I mean, I just think that the possibilities of us, taking it the whole way is endless.
What's the shirt that you're wearing right now?
So obviously awesome Steelers shirt.
Yeah, I've never seen one like it though.
So I collect vintage T-shirts, usually like band T-shirts, from like the 70s, 80s, and I usually wear them on stage at shows. Awesome. But I've been starting to collect vintage Steelers shirts. Oh. And this is from 1980, right after we won like the 4th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it actually came in the mail today, and I was like, oh, perfect timing. TJ Watt signs his deal. I'm going on the podcast. I got to rock this shirt. So obviously I wore it. I mean, I washed it before I wore it because God knows where it came from.
Well, you're a better man than me because I didn't wash my shirt before I wore it. I just threw it on, but I'm wearing the
comment on that too. What a great shirt as well. So.
It's like whoever thought I would wear a general manager's shirt.
Right.
But the guys over there at DC 4L Custom Tees, that's DC number 4L CUSTOMTEES. They sent me one of these because I saw it online. It's the general manager with the look like the Godfather with the hand with the puppeteer strings coming down on manager, where it comes down on father for Godfather, and it's just a badass design. So.
And what kudos. A great way to wear it.
I know, right?
Better, yeah.
So, guys, if you want one like this too, go to dc4lcustomtees.com. You got to grab those guys doing awesome work over there. Yeah, and I love your shirt as well too, man, because I've never seen that. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I didn't even remember that shirt. That's a beautiful shirt.
Yeah, I got lucky on this one for sure.
So I know we were talking about like training camp and everything, and that's when we started like exchanging numbers and going back and forth a bit. Did you have any specific surprises for you that came out onto the roster from training camp, or any surprise cuts as well?
No, not really. I really wasn't surprised. I know a lot of people were, thinking they were going to cut Dobbs and I didn't. I thought, I thought it was all in line. What about you?
The biggest surprise for me making the roster was probably Jameer Jones making it and supplanting both Cassius Marsh and Quincy Roche, who was drafted to be, one of our next depth pieces, and everybody was excited when Roche was drafted. So to me, that was the biggest surprise. But if you watched him in preseason games, if you read the reports of him in training camp, there's a reason why an undrafted rookie free agent, Jameer Jones, ended up beating out 2 guys that were either a veteran ahead of him or drafted higher than him, because man, he just made it impossible to cut him. And that's, to me, that was the surprise story and the biggest story of training camp.
And good for him. I mean, he worked for it. So.
And Loudermilk as well was another one. I mean, he got drafted. Yeah, and we moved up in the 5th round to grab him. But for him to come into a deep defensive back, we were already 7 deep at defensive line. We were already pretty much set. Like everybody we have is still pretty much on the team, and they just threw Mondo over on practice squad. Right. But I was like, they don't even need to draft a defensive lineman this year. They've got great depth. They got great youth. They're going to be coming up through the system. They'll be fine. Nope, we're going to pick up Loudermilk, and man, was he disruptive in the preseason games too. And he was a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited to see
Real
what he can do.
Watch him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, who are you most excited to see play this weekend against the Bills?
It'd be hard to pick, but I'm a big quarterback guy, so I love Roethlisberger. So I'm excited for him to come in and I played quarterback in high school, so I gravitate more towards quarterback. So
cool.
But yeah, I'm just a big Ben guy. Even before Ben, I was a big Tommy Maddox guy.
I loved Tom. I was going into that draft. I'm like, we don't need a quarterback. We need Sean Andrews. We need an offensive lineman.
And Ben guy. I'm glad we got him, but we got Tommy's got still more and more fuel in the tank, and I don't know. He just had Pittsburgh written all over him. Obviously, he's not free. But Tommy Maddox wasn't from Pittsburgh, and I know I might get some hate for this because they're like, people are going to say he wasn't very good. But to come like the story just alone, just had Pittsburgh written on. He just had a Pittsburgh mentality. He was a Pittsburgh guy. And he looked like that rough, tough, and just even like in like a press conferences, he'd come out like a flannel shirt and like a hat. You know what I mean? Like, but just the story wise, to get drafted and go to Denver and not do so well, and then to go to the XFL and be like the XFL Player of the Year,
win the championship over there,
and then basically get a spot on the Steelers, and then start for the Steelers, and then become comeback Player of the Year for the Steelers. I mean, like, how could you not root for the guy? So I remember eating my Tommy Flakes, like
the Flutie Flakes. They're just made for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I'm a big quarterback guy, so I'm real excited to see Ben play. Obviously Najee Harris, to see what he brings to the table, and I think they're just going to come off firing. I think I know we're the underdogs. If a betting man,
Oh, but, we're definitely underdogs.
Yeah, but I think we're going to come forward with the victory for sure.
And to tell you the truth, like, this is not going to be the same matchup as last year. Our offensive line was banged up at that point. Ben's only way of moving the football was to get it out quickly and to put it on his shoulders. The running game was non-existent. So it was tough. We were a one-dimensional team. And they took advantage of it. Connor didn't get barely anything on the ground. But now coming in with this new Matt Canada offense, I like the play action. I like the motion in the backfield. I like the switching up of plays and putting people in the best situations to be successful on the field, and he will isolate players and mismatches to do that. That's the way that we've got like a chess master finally for an offensive coordinator, where we had scheme guys before where you're hitting your head against the wall. He's like, this is the scheme. This is the way it's going to work. You're going to do it. Go do it.
we look like a brand new team compared to last season. Yeah. And I think, the talent's still there. I just, like you said, different scheme. And I think people are going to be on their toes. Like, I think defenses are not really going to know what to expect because we have so many different, possibilities and so many different threats. Right. Our team has everything to win the Super Bowl this year, with a total package. So,
yeah. And the defense is actually what I'm most excited to see, just because I think this is going to be a top 3 defense. I think this defense is hungry. The defensive line is disruptive. The 4 linebackers, man, just going across. You got Watt. You got Joe Schobert, who was a Pro Bowler coming and leader of the Jacksonville squad, now in the middle of ours, helping out Devin Bush, a younger guy coming in off an ACL injury. And then on the other side, of course, you got Highsmith, who's through the roof. Unfortunately, Highsmith's a little banged up right now, did not practice for Thursday, was limited on Wednesday. We'll have to see if the finals will be coming out here for Friday to see if he can play. But if he doesn't, Melvin Ingram is your backup, a Pro Bowl outside linebacker.
What a great backup to have,
right? So. And then your swing depth is Jameer Jones, who we talked about earlier. He's got a lot of upside, so I'm hoping he can. If that's the case, and Highsmith can't go, I'm hoping that he can at least come in and make some plays as well. So I'm just super excited to see what these linebackers are going to be doing.
Right, and that's the great thing too. We have some really great guys that are, backups. So if starters can't get done, or unfortunately, God forbid, someone gets hurt or something, we have some great guys that can step up and get the job done as well. So
yeah, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, starters in waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think right now is the biggest weakness on the team going into this Buffalo Bills game?
Probably the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
Just because, so young.
Yeah.
Just they haven't had time to gel.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really would be the weakness. I think so. What do you think?
I got to agree with you on the offensive side. Definitely. I mean, the youth is a question mark. Having a rookie 4th rounder starting at left tackle, Ben's blind side, that is something that's got to be addressed. And that's something that we know when we go back to pass, whoever's going to be that extra running back there, he's got to make sure he's got the right guy to help him out and to clear, hopefully give Ben an extra tick to get that ball out of his hands. I'm not as worried about Dotson. He's a 2nd-year guy. When he came in, he was super highly rated, both playing right guard and left guard when Filer and Castro were missing some time last year. He's a road grader. He's an All-American. He really should have went way higher than the 4th round. That guy's a monster. And I love him in the run game. And I love Kendrick Green in the run game too, but it'll be interesting to see him now being a full-time center, making sure that center snap exchange is clean. That's the rookie stuff you got to worry about, because now he's going up against NFL caliber nose tackles lined up, breathing down his neck every play. And some of these guys are going to be bigger than him.
Yeah. I mean, they're just going to keep getting better with the reps, and obviously they just don't have the reps right now. And just got to get through the season, but I did see an interview recently with Roethlisberger talking about how hungry they are and how hard they're working. So I mean,
nice.
So I think that goes a long way. That I think he said something like even when they did make a bad play or screwed something up, it affected them, and they went in and worked hard to fix that.
Oh,
so
cool.
At least we know that we got people working hard. So I think like you said, if you just keep your head up and you got that running back picking up those blocks, so I think.
Yeah. Tight end chips, got to figure out what you can do.
Yeah. That'd be huge.
Yeah. And, that's a great point that you just brought up too there, Justin. It's like Ben Roethlisberger has never once thrown an offensive player under the bus. Even that year in 2008 with that dismal offensive line, pretty much he was running for his life, making plays with his feet. He is a more athletic, younger quarterback at that time. And he won us a Super Bowl with that line and said, hey, look who's laughing now. But never once, not like when we beat Peyton Manning in that game earlier in that playoff run, or I guess that was the 05 playoff run when we beat him in Indy. Right. And he said, well, my offensive line needs to do a little bit better. And that's, Ben Roethlisberger never threw his team. I've heard Brady throw his teammates under the bus in press conferences. I've heard Manning throw his teammates under the bus in press conferences. Never once have I heard Ben Roethlisberger throw a player under the bus, any player under the bus. Right. The one time I think he did challenge James Washington his rookie year, saying, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have left his feet on that one ball. I think that's probably the only thing I can even remember that could even be construed as a negative toward another player.
Right. So, and this is my point about his leadership, when he's not getting enough credit. I mean, it just shows his leadership with, not doing that and taking responsibility where responsibility lies, then also taking the responsibility when it's really not his.
Right. Right.
That goes a long way. And obviously that probably goes, I can't see how it doesn't go a long way in the locker room. And that's why he's so respected. And I think that's why so many great players that kind of move on to other teams or retire, always talk very highly about him because, he is such a great quarterback.
And speak highly just about being in Pittsburgh in general. It's a great organization. They don't treat it as, I mean, it is a business, but they do treat you like family as well. I think a
lot of players get buyer's remorse when they leave Pittsburgh, unfortunately, and when it's on their own doing, when they decide to leave. I think they realize, it's not like anywhere else, Pittsburgh. If we lose on Sunday, the whole week is shot until next.
That's what I seriously, I have seasonal depression, and it lasts from Sunday until the next Sunday. If the Steelers lose a game, actually, the first 3 days of the week, I'm shot. Like, if they lose Monday, Tuesday, I start coming back around on Wednesday. Okay, we're getting ready for the next game. Here we go. Ramp it back up. But yeah, tough Mondays and Tuesdays, and that's the whole city. Yeah, you walk through downtown Pittsburgh,
Exactly.
people are less apt to say hello to you or smile at you after a loss than it's supposed to like a big win. Everybody's like, "Hey, you doing? Hey, you see the game yesterday?"
Like people are partying tonight because TJ Watt signed his contract.
Right. And you have to. I mean, that's how we are living and dying the contract of one of the best defensive players in general in the NFL, the same way that we live or die on Sundays watching a Steeler game. This is like a longer
exactly. I no doubt that people were taking off work this week because they didn't know what was going on with TJ. And that's kind of how being a Ginzer is. So it's a full-time job.
That is beautiful, Justin. Oh man. But so moving on for this game, like, how do you feel about the secondary? To me, I know that's probably going to be the weak link. I mean, obviously, I'm not worried about Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm interested to see what these new wrinkles are going to be. Not worried about Hayden. Seems like Sutton's going to be moving down now into the slot. So I don't know if that then opens up the opportunity for who we thought like Pierre was going to be the starter. Young kid, tall kid, big lanky, good against the run too, coming in to play that edge, or maybe even Witherspoon now that we just picked up, coming into that rotation, being an option of playing opposite of Hayden.
Yeah, you're right. I would say that I'm most worried about the offensive line, and then obviously the secondary.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the secondary probably would be second to me. Obviously not worried about
secondary to you.
Yeah, exactly. No pun intended.
Yeah,
like Hayden Fitzpatrick, not worried about Hayden, but the corners, yeah. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be.
Right.
In my opinion, I feel like there's been many years that we've had some issues at corners. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we just have to see how things go. So
I think we'll do all right as long as we have one good lockdown. If Hayden still plays the way we expect Hayden to play, this being a contract year for him, I'm not worried. I know he's a smart cornerback. He's not one of the fastest cornerbacks, but he knows how to keep his player in check. So,
right.
And I'm excited to see what Edmonds does this year, because now this is fourth year. They didn't give him the fifth year option. So he's going to be a free agent after this season, no matter what. So now let's see how Edmonds plays in a contract year, because he could really improve. And I'd hope he does. I mean, if not only for him, then for, it only helps the team this year as well.
Right. I think the Buffalo game is going to show us a lot, because Buffalo is a very, very good team.
Yeah, they are.
Their offense is extremely explosive. So I think we're going to learn very quickly where our weaknesses are.
Yeah.
So I think coming right out of the gate, we're going to see. So I'm kind of excited that we're playing such a good team.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of times it's so easy for other people to say, oh, they got an easy schedule, or that, they're just playing that team, you know what I mean? But if we,
I am saying that this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like the fact that we're coming out and playing Buffalo, because once we beat them, it's going to set the tone.
Yeah.
Everybody that's saying that we're maybe an 8-8 team or whatever, but I think it's gonna they're just going to say, okay, maybe I was wrong about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Indeed. So now that we talked about the weaknesses, we got that all out of the way. What are the strengths that you see, or the biggest strength that you see on this Pittsburgh Steeler team coming into the game?
The biggest strength, I would have to say, obviously Roethlisberger, our wideouts, Claypool and having Najee. I just think our offense is just ridiculous. Yeah. I really do. I think our strength has to lead on the offense.
And I'm really excited too, like to extend on what you're saying too, Justin, is having that offense and having the two tight ends, both Ebron and Freiermuth, on the field at the same time, watching them do play action now. And so you think, oh gosh, you get Najee, here comes Najee with the ball. They block and release. We're going to see some wide open tight ends in this game, I think. So, and that's something that we're not used to seeing.
No, not at all. I think that's going to just really, really push Roethlisberger too. Because when we had Heath Miller, he was most of the time it was Roethlisberger go-to receiver. And I just think having now two tight ends, I think it's an endless possibility.
And we just have the numbers also for the TJ Watt contract. It looks like that the signing bonus was $35 million. So that should drop his cap dramatically this year. But this is all his guaranteed money, at least. His base salary is going to be $1 million fully guaranteed, obviously. 2022 base salary $24 million fully guaranteed. 2023 base salary $20 million fully guaranteed. So that is how his guaranteed money is worked out now, because that's 35, 40, 50, 80. Yep, that's 80 million right there going off. So 35 million signing bonus, $1 million contract.
Yeah.
It's 36. You have the 24 in base salary the following year, and then the 20 million after that for 2023. So Steelers guaranteed now money in 3 years. I've seen them guarantee money in 2 years, but this is the first year now that they've guaranteed money across 3 seasons. So really interesting to see how it's going to work out. For the salary cap, even right now this year, it looks like it dropped again. So like if it drops down a little bit, hey, more power to him.
TJ Watt, that's some big money, so
right.
But, that's FU money. That's what that is right there.
Do you know what it is? It's just Watt family money.
There you go. It's true.
JJ's no stranger about being the highest paid defensive player in football. Now his little brother TJ is the highest paid defensive player in football.
Well deserved across the board. Well deserved.
Right. I mean, that's the funny thing. Like, we're always comparing TJ Watt to other players in the league and the league in general, when like the biggest comparison for TJ Watt is his own household. I mean, he's got to chase like 3 more defensive players of the year from his brother. Yeah. He's gotten ribbed over at Thanksgiving. Yeah, you might have a better team, but I got more defensive players of the year. So like that's got to be fun just for those guys. And they're all competitive, all the brothers getting around together. And it's nice having 2 Watts on the team as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Be nice to get the 3rd one.
Right. Yeah. No, I was dreaming for that to happen, but we were so thick at defensive line. I understand why it didn't happen.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe when he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Because JJ did get one more decent contract. If we can get him on the cheap next time, if he finishes up, be like, maybe I'll be a backup with my brothers.
Right.
That would be great. I would be all over that. We've talked about, basically all of our strengths, the O-line, the rookies, the secondary. Now, we did lose a couple players to injured reserve, and we lost them for at least 3 weeks. First one I wanted to talk about was Zack Banner, who was, he's a people mover at right tackle. Now this is starting to really, it hits me hard. He's a big friend of the show, been on the show twice, big humanitarian. I just love everything about this guy. He has as big of a heart as he does a body. He's just a unit as well.
He's a great. I've recently had the opportunity of meeting him, and he was just fantastic. I did the softball, celebrity softball game.
Yes, yeah, you did the one in Pittsburgh with Sam was over there or Morgan was playing also for you.
Yes, we played outfield together. And
cool.
I told her, I said, if one comes our way, you just take it, okay? But, I don't want to
if it's close, it's yours.
Yeah, exactly. But I got to meet Zach and a handful of other guys for the first time at that event, and like you said, just a fantastic class act.
Awesome. Oh, that's great to hear. The other story was a little bit tougher with Stephon Tuitt. He was a little bit more of a surprise because he didn't take any reps really in training camp, played no preseason games, and then we come around to the season and he's on IR. Also, his brother also dying in the hit and run accident too. It was horrible in the family, but we really didn't know that he had a knee injury, and they didn't really even talk about it until we finally got around here to closer to the season, and then it finally came out. Yeah. So how does that affect the team? Like, obviously having a healthy TJ Watt a healthy Tuitt opposite of Cam Hayward is just a boon for that front seven. Right. How are they going to handle it now with Chris Wormley and Alualu?
Yeah, I mean, I think time's just only going to tell. I think we'll learn real quick in the Buffalo game. I think they'll test them very quickly. Like I said, I think a lot of questions that we don't have answers to, we're going to get answers real quick during the Buffalo game. But I don't say that in a negative way. I think, we're going to shut a lot of people up. I think all the people that, for some reason, when you're the top, it's easy for people to throw stones at you, right?
Yeah.
It's easy for people to hate on you.
Right.
And when I say on the top, obviously we haven't won the Super Bowl, in a couple of years, but I don't think you can find a better franchise than the Steelers. So it's easy for them. We have such a high regard and we're respected so highly. So I think it's easy for other people that don't like the Steelers to throw stones.
Yeah.
And so I think I do think this is the team to be able to tell people like, hey, look at last season alone. Okay. We went undefeated for how many games?
Right.
13 games, was it 12, 13 games?
Yes. Yeah.
No one would have predicted, everybody was
not at all.
We were going to
games. Yeah.
we were going to, maybe win half of those.
Right.
So I think, the last team you should be counting out is the Steelers.
Oh, I'm with you on that one, man. Now we've gotten to the point of the show where we start taking questions from Steeler Nation. If you want to get your questions in, go to SteelerNation.com, join the football forum. It's free. They're great football news. It's always instant, great discussion over there. So go over to the football forum at SteelerNation.com, and I always post to get their questions first. And the first question coming in from /Steel, comes into you actually, Justin, and he wants to know your take on the overall state of the offensive line, which we kind of talked about a bit, but do you have anything more to elaborate?
No, I just think, unfortunately, we just have some young guys out there that are only going to get better each rep. But I do think that the guys we have, can get the job done. I have faith in them. I think there's no other quarterback to have, behind them than Ben Roethlisberger to coach them up and teach them and put them in the right direction and show them what they need. So I think only time will tell. But I think that, if anybody's leading the way, who else would you rather have,
And for me too, Justin, I think that the younger side of the line is probably going to be better running the football.
Sure.
I think I'm a little bit more emboldened to be excited about Najee going, left side, because we know he got the road grader and Dotson. We know that, Green likes to get at it. He can get to the second level. He can get to the third level, man. He's hitting free safeties in the preseason. Right. And then you got Moore, who was specifically drafted for his nastiness and being a good run blocker as well. The thing that I am not as excited about the left side of the line is in the pass blocking. That's, to me, the question marks. Like, how is Dan Moore going to set that edge and keep those speed rushers from getting in there to Ben? And I think it's going to take a lot of help to do that. Or they're going to try to confuse and do some stunts here up the middle when Green's got to call out the pass pro as well at the line of scrimmage, having a rookie do that, because that's the center's job. But then it's the opposite. Like the right side, the old veterans with Turner, and you got Chooks over there. I'm more apt to be comfortable with them in the passing game, but the running game now, I'm not so sure. Like Turner, maybe. I think we might get some help with Turner, but Chooks was never that much of a pusher. I'm hoping he can at least move some people and help us out in general. And hopefully the play calling and the play action and the misdirection and the motion are going to help us out too, and help all those players be able to get their sets and hit their blockers a hair quicker than they would have if they were just lining up and hitting.
Right. And the good thing about Harris too is, he can make a play. And so if the line's having trouble, he's one of those guys that can bounce off somebody very easily and just go for it. So, just having him on the team, unfortunately, we didn't have much of a run game last season. So just having him and with how good he is, and you just have to respect him. So I think defenses have to come in and respect him because they know how big of a playmaker he is. So I think there's a lot of confidence in that aspect.
Yeah, and if they don't, I think that could burn him, because they might be like, oh, he's a rookie. We'll wait for him to gash us before we do anything. And if he gashes them early and they're like, oh crap, we can't turn the faucet off, it's going to be a long game for Buffalo.
Right, and he's real back as well. I mean, he's got great hands as well. So I mean, he's a triple threat.
Yeah, he is. And then we've got a question over there from Cope. Justin, what made you become a Steeler fan?
I was born in Pittsburgh. What kind of question?
Yeah, I didn't know if well, obviously, I just didn't know if you your parents like watched the games too growing up when you were a kid, and when you started really getting into watching the games.
Let's be honest, it's sacrilegious to be from Pittsburgh and not root for the Steelers and not be a Steelers fan. I mean, what are you talking about? Be like, that's like being the biggest jag-off ever. So,
like being born and raised in Pittsburgh and being a Baltimore Raven.
You might as well run me out of town. But
yeah, and I've got to just state this too. Like listening to your interviews on like CMT and country music stations, there's nothing more satisfying than you answering questions with everybody else's southern draws, and you're banging out Pittsburghese. It's beautiful, man. I absolutely love listening to that.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people. I get that a lot. Like, where are you from?
Why don't you sound like us?
Yeah, like, I'm from Pittsburgh. You know, like, what are you doing in the country scene? And I was like, you know. I get that question all the time. It drives me nuts. You know,
wasn't Rascal Flatts also from Pittsburgh area, or some of the guys?
No, Dan and Shay.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. So, half of them. I think he's from the one half's from Wexford. But I get that question all the time. Like, what made you pick country music? You're from Pittsburgh. It's like, well, it doesn't get more blue collar than Pittsburgh.
Right.
Okay? And it doesn't get more blue collar than country music. Yep. You know what I mean? So it fits. You know what I mean?
Yes, it does.
It fits, you know, and I write all my own songs, you know what I mean? So I write from that hard hitting Pittsburgh mentality, you know what I mean? That steel worker, you know, blue collar mentality, you know. So I'm never going to I didn't grow up on a farm. There's nothing wrong with that. I never drove, you know, I don't drive around in a John Deere tractor. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's obviously people get those stereotypes like, oh, if you're a country singer, you got to sing about tailgates and beer and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's some of it. Yeah. But I'm never going to write about that stuff because I didn't live it. But I will write about, you know, waking up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday and tailgating for a Steeler game that's at 1. And then after you win, you party till 2 a.m. and then party all week and then do it again on Sunday. You know,
that song is going on my Steeler playlist.
Well, there you go.
When's that one finished?
But I mean, to get off, not to get off the track, but I mean, just you're born into it. Yeah. You know, you're born into it. When you're born in Pittsburgh, I mean, you know, like there's people that would die to be from Pittsburgh just to say that they're Pittsburgh fans. You know, to say that, well, I'm a Steeler fan because I'm from Pittsburgh. So I'm very proud to be from Pittsburgh. So,
did anybody ever come up to you in the country music scene being like, "What's a yins?"
Oh, all the time. Yeah. What does yins mean? Or, you know, what's a permani sandwich? You know, like
yins is a y'all.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like, what's the terrible towel about? You know, so yeah, you get it all the time, you know, like you put French fries on your sandwich. What is it?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for me, I wasn't born in Pittsburgh. I'm a Central PA guy. I grew up in Williamsport, PA, up in the mountains. But we had Bethlehem Steel up there. My family worked in the steel industry. My dad worked for Kellogg's. He did stainless steel as well. He's an inspector for a couple stainless steel plants. So, you know, it's in our blood. We only could root for the Steelers. Obviously, they showed both the Steelers and Eagles games up there, but mostly it was Steeler fans up in that area, blue collar area as well.
Yeah.
So I'm only a Pittsburgher when it's game day. I come out there for the game. So I season ticket holder.
You fit in perfectly. So.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So another kind of follow up to that question as well, like why the Steelers? A lot of people don't know this probably, but my uncle for about 30 years was the official photographer for the Steelers.
Really?
Yeah. So for about 30 years, all the pictures that were taken were by my uncle. So he grew up with Art Rooney and. So he's got 2 Super Bowl rings that he wears all the time. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that is great. And what's his name?
Mike Fabus.
Mike Fabus. The famous Fabuses.
There you go.
So that's what you got to be like. Hey, Mike, you got 2 Super Bowl rings. Why don't you let me wear one on stage?
Yeah, let me wear one for a photo shoot. You know,
right?
I've worn them before. I mean, they're massive. You know what I mean? He's one, and they're massive. Yeah.
Oh. And they have your name on them too.
Oh yeah, they're the real deal.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So hopefully this follow-up question by Cope is a little bit better. Who is your favorite all-time Steeler?
My favorite all-time Steeler. Whew. That's a good question. There's so many good ones, right?
It's tough paring it down. I know.
Yeah, I would probably say Terry Bradshaw.
Oh wow, nice.
Just because I wore number 12 when I was playing football, because of him, and so I would say probably definitely Terry Bradshaw.
That's awesome because you're a younger guy than I am. You obviously don't have as much gray as I do. So, you probably didn't watch his career while he was playing. So that's pretty cool to say that about Terry Bradshaw. Do you have any players then too that when you were first growing up that you really latched onto?
Yeah, I love Yancey Thigpen.
Oh, I did too. I absolutely loved Yancey, especially with Cordell Stewart. He didn't have a quarterback, but man, was that guy fun to watch.
Right. I loved Yancey Thigpen. Cordell Stewart, I think Cordell Stewart got the credit or recognition that he deserves.
Yeah.
There's
if he was allowed to be himself, like in this league, like we have today, he would have won Super Bowls.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of Steelers that obviously like Troy Polamalu, fantastic guy all around, one of the best ever to do the safety position. Like Hines Ward, obviously, but then a lot of guys that don't get the credit they deserve, like Dan Kreider.
Yes, big fullback.
Yeah,
killer.
Kreider, awesome.
Kreider and Whitman, I love those guys.
Dwayne Washington. Kentrell Bell, just guys, that were great players for the Steelers and just don't get the recognition that unfortunately they deserve. So Tommy Maddox, I know he was only on the team for a handful of years, but like they made some amazing moments in Steeler history, like the Maddox Miracle. Do you remember the Maddox Miracle?
The big comeback against Cleveland in the playoffs. Yeah, down by like 20-some points.
Yeah. It's snowing. People are leaving because we thought we were going to leave. We're going to lose, and they're trying to climb back in the stadium. They wouldn't let them back in because we're all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So
that's a Yinzer move. You leave early, and then you try to climb the fence back into the stadium.
Yeah, to watch the game.
I think it's more Pittsburgh than that.
Right,
Pittsburgh fandom in a microcosm.
Exactly. I actually, like a year ago, I saw at Giant Eagle. I saw a woman wearing a Maddox Miracle T-shirt.
Yes.
Like that's freaking awesome.
Do you own one?
No, but I need to.
I will keep my eyes out for one.
I need to buy one on eBay, but I have like the Tommy Maddox shirt, like it's like the Maddox gun. Do you remember that gun shirt? Yeah, I have that shirt. Yes,
that's great.
Yeah, I think I got it down to Strip District. I have like a ton of bootleg, Strip Districts. Like I used to have a Troy Polamalu shirt, so like the Flying Hawaiian, and it had like the
he's not even Hawaiian.
A Hawaiian punch guide, like as Troy Polamalu.
Yes.
But like you can get some great Steeler T-shirts down at the Strip District. They probably have one about TJ Watt signing his new contract. They're probably making a new one right now. So
yeah, they got to be. Justin, I probably never had more fun on a show with a special guest that I've never talked to or met for, but we've fortunately been texting back and forth. We kind of knew each other's sense of humor. We were going with that. So awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And at first I was a little nervous because I'm like, oh man, I hope I know enough Steelers stuff, I'm on the outside being a country artist. But I can't thank you guys enough, and congrats with the new partnership with DK.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love you guys. You guys are awesome. The Yinzer girls are awesome. Everybody, just everybody on your team, it's fantastic. So I'm so happy to be a part of it. I'm honored. So I'd love to come back anytime.
Steeler Nation, you've got to check out Justin Fabus playing at the Rivers Casino tomorrow night, 9:00 Saturday.
Yeah. Bring your terrible towels.
Yeah, you got something to spin. He'll probably have him up on stage. He probably uses it to wipe the sweat off his brow when he's up there working so hard. So please take your terrible towels over to Rivers Casino tomorrow night to watch that free show with Justin Fabus, 9:00. Don't miss it, guys. Awesome date. Tell your friends, hey, I got VIP. We're free. So come on.
Oh yeah.
That's the way you do it. Check out his Instagram, his Twitter at the Justin Fabus. That is TheJustinFabus. His album, The Aftermath, is available now just about everywhere you can purchase music, but you can also grab it from his website, www.justinfabus.com. And September 25th, his 7-song EP, Shelter from the Storm, will be available for download. Tell us a little bit about that, Justin.
So that actually came out last year. So
that's
crap!
No,
that's all right. That's how it came out last year. But the new EP, The Aftermath, just came out a little bit, almost a month ago, and it debuted at number 2 on the charts. And I would have had number 1, but those Jagoffs from Pittsburgh, Dan and Shay, had the number 1 spot. I figured, hey, those bastards.
The Jagoffs.
If I have to be next to a couple other country guys, might as well be some Pittsburghers, right?
That's great, man. Awesome. Hey, Steeler Nation, make sure you get geared up. Like this great shirt again, go to DC number 4L custom tees.com. Grab this awesome, the general manager, Godfather inspired shirt among any other awesome designs. We've got great t-shirts over on our webpage too at SteelerNation.com. All the choices to get you ready for the tailgates coming up here starting this weekend. If you're going to do an away tailgate in Pittsburgh, or if you're going up to Buffalo for that tailgate, you got to start showing off your Steeler Nation pride and do that. And SteelerNation.com, the best site for fast, unique Steelers content on the internet. Click on the podcast button to listen on one of our many interviews. Also follow the Yinsers. We're all now part of the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network as well. Super excited about that. And join the discussion at the football forums over at SteelerNation.com. Watch our YouTube videos on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/SteelerNation. Tweet us at SteelerNation.com. Instagram us at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at SteelerNation. Apologies, not SteelerNation.com. Instagram is at SteelerNation.com. Follow Steeler Nation Podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram, SN Stryker, Stryker spelled with a Y. Thank you for joining us for the Steeler Nation Podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G. Stryker, with Justin Fabus, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!